The boxes are badly damaged. It may take weeks to decipher the recordings. In the meantime, investigators have to rely on the next best thing, the tapes from the air traffic control tower. The investigators listen intently to the final moments before the crash. They need to find out why the KLM 747 took off while a Pan Am Jumbo was still on the runway. Did the tower controller give the pilot permission to depart? 1 minute 23 seconds before the crash. The KLM completes its 180-degree turn at the end of the runway.
The KLM 4805 is now ready for takeoff and we're waiting for our ATC clearance.
This is not a request for takeoff clearance, but a request for air traffic control clearance. The pilots are seeking directions for once they're airborne. The controller issues the ATC clearance and the KLM co-pilot reads it back. 33 seconds before the collision. The tapes reveal that after reading back his ATC clearance, the KLM co-pilot makes an unusual statement.
We're now at takeoff.
American investigator Bill Edmonds is puzzled by what he heard.
We couldn't understand exactly whether he was saying we are at takeoff or we are taking off. If we are at takeoff, that means we're ready to take off, or the other would be that they're actually in the process of taking off.
The Spanish air traffic controller also seems confused by what the KLM co-pilot has just said. Stand by is the last instruction from the tower to the KLM. They never issue takeoff clearance. Nevertheless, Captain Van Zanten accelerates down the runway. The control tower tapes seem to suggest that the Dutch pilot has made a serious error of judgment. Van Zanten is one of Holland's star pilots. He was so highly regarded that KLM used his face in their advertising. He'd been a commercial pilot for 27 years and had flown more than 11,700 hours. It's shocking that such an experienced pilot would make such a drastic error. The evidence appears to be damning, but the investigation is far from over. Meanwhile, the tower tapes reveal another startling fact. The Pan Am pilots had not followed their instructions either. 4 minutes before the crash, the control tower instructs the Pan Am to turn off the runway at the third exit. But investigators now know that the planes collided further up the runway, near the fourth exit, much closer to the KLM's takeoff position. Why did the Pan Am captain miss his turnoff? Investigators have made another startling revelation. The Pan Am overshot its exits and was in the way. Did Pan Am's Captain Grubbs make a fatal error? 35 seconds to go. Transcripts of the control tower tapes reveal a growing level of tension in the KLM cockpit. Investigators later find out from radio conversations that Captain Van Zanten had expressed concern about going over the number of hours he's allowed to work. He still has to pick up 300 passengers in Gran Canaria to take back to Amsterdam. If he's late, the crew will be grounded for a rest period, and KLM will have to pay overnight accommodation for everyone on board. And now the fog is rolling in, causing very low visibility. He's feeling the pressure. Now investigators are waiting for the evidence from the plane's damaged black boxes. They could reveal new clues. Each 747 has 2 black boxes, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, which stores the final 30 minutes of all conversations inside the cockpit. But 2 weeks into the investigation, they can finally examine the tapes from the black boxes. They make a dramatic discovery. In the KLM cockpit, the crew didn't hear certain directions, but were clearly audible on the control tower tapes. Just when Captain Van Zanten most needed his radio communications, a loud squeal obliterated vital messages. The communication system in use at Los Rodeos in 1977 is still used all around the world today. Airplanes communicate with air traffic control using 2-way VHF radios. All the planes at the airport tune into the same frequency, so that not only can they receive their instructions, they can also hear what's going on around them. But the system has limitations. Only one person can speak on that frequency at a time. Everyone must wait their turn. A problem occurs when 2 or more people try to use the frequency at the same time. It causes a loud, noisy squeal, known as heterodyne. 37 seconds. But the Pan Am Jumbo is still taxiing on the runway. From the tower tapes, investigators know the controller told the KLM plane to wait for takeoff clearance. At that exact moment, the Pan Am cockpit tapes reveal that the Pan Am crew also respond. But the KLM cockpit tape reveals that because both Pan Am and the controller speak at the same time, it creates a heterodyne. Captain Van Zanten simply hears the word, "OK." He doesn't hear the controller, nor does he hear the Pan Am. He continues accelerating down the runway. The KLM Jumbo smashes into the Pan Am. Just seconds before he slammed into Pan Am, Captain Van Zanten tried to lift the KLM plane over the top of it. He pulled the nose up so sharply that the tail scraped the runway. He nearly made it. The nose and front wheel cleared the Pan Am, but the Jumbo still couldn't climb high enough. The final irony was that Captain Van Zanten had taken on an extra 55,000 liters of fuel to save refueling time later in Gran Canaria. It was this extra fuel that may have made the Jumbo just too heavy to climb the extra few meters in height that could have prevented the disaster. The disaster at Tenerife was caused by a chain of events combining both human error and technical failure. Pilot and aviation writer Patrick Smith believes that new technology can stop VHF radio squeals and help prevent future accidents.
Heterodynes are preventable. There is a blocking device that can be inserted into the communication systems of airliners that prevents simultaneous transmission. Anybody who attempts a simultaneous transmission will be blocked out from speaking over the microphone.
Aircraft engineers can fit anti-blocking units for just $13,000, a small amount compared to a new plane's price tag of up to $200 million. However, although some airlines are voluntarily installing them, it's not yet a legal requirement.